past 8.
This is like something out of an episode of CSI or something. It's awfully sad, but search crews have begun, as we've been hearing in our news, as the task of sifting through more than 3,000 tonnes of landfill to find the body of 78-year-old Toowong woman Lesley Trotter. Now, she was reported missing more than 3 weeks ago, and police have strong evidence that her body was in a wheelie bin, which was collected by a garbage truck and taken to a landfill site either at Rochdale or Swanbank at the tips there. We have Professor Terry Goldsworthy, who's a former detective and criminologist at Bond University. Good morning, Professor.
Yeah, good morning.
Professor, the stage that it is at the moment is going through, obviously, looking for the body of Lesley Trotter. How does that strong evidence link with the search that's going on at the moment?
Yeah, look, this is an interesting case to watch it unfold. I mean, it's yet to be, they're treating it as a homicide, but they've also left open the door that it may be a death by misadventure due to the fact that the lady who's missing had a habit of going through people's bins. The other interesting thing is that the police, in their commentary, when they started searching the tips, were very particular in what they knew about her placement in the bin. So that would, to me, indicate that they've seen some kind of CCTV either at the scene or perhaps one of the bin trucks. I mean, bin trucks have internal CCTV of their areas inside. So they seem to be fairly certain as to what they're looking for. But I guess, they've got to treat it as a homicide till it's proven otherwise. And unfortunately, the longer it goes on, the less evidence will be available for them if they do discover any remains.
I can imagine this would be fairly slow going. I mean, you can't exactly go in with big machines. It'd be all just individually picking out little pieces of rubbish.
Yeah, look, it's going to be fairly human power intensive, I guess you could say. They're not going to be able to use things, I think, like ground penetrating radar, things like that, because the ground's too disturbed. It's just not suitable for that kind of technology. I see they are talking about technology using to pinpoint where they need to search, so I'm not quite sure what technology they'd be speaking about there, whether it be, they've got CCTV to show where those particular dump trucks dumped, and they're searching from there. But look, this will take a couple of weeks at least. We had a murder in Surfers Paradise in 1999 where a fellow with links to the Yakuza was killed by his wife and then dismembered in the bathtub and put in garbage bags and sent up to the Southport tip. So we had to search the tip up there. And it is difficult. We didn't find a body in that case, but nonetheless, we convicted her of murder. So yeah, it's an asset to find the remains because they do contribute great forensic evidence. But, if it turns out to be a murder and there's no body, it's not an insurmountable case.
You were saying that was 24 years ago, so technology really has not advanced in those 24 years?
Yeah, look, as I said, we have ground penetrating radar. We use that on one job down here where a woman went missing from a house, and we used that to look at a new pool that had been installed, and we then dug up the pool because we thought she may have been underneath it, but she wasn't.
Oh.
So in those circumstances, you can use that kind of, where you've got a firm surface and, you're looking for a disturbance. Problem with the tip is that the ground, I'd imagine, would be very disturbed underneath because it's newly laid and compacted over and over. So it wouldn't be suitable for that, I would think. And what they're doing, they're clearly probably doing some kind of grid search, I'd imagine, in the areas where the rubbish is tipped, pulling that rubbish out and then putting it into the lanes for the personnel to go through. And the problem they've got is they've identified 6 compacted truckloads that they're interested in. But, there was about a 2-week period in between that where there's going to be a whole lot of other rubbish that is unrelated that was also put in there.
Can dogs be used?
Look, good question. I wouldn't think a cadaver dog would be overly successful there just because there's, with rubbish, there's such strong scents from things that are in there, like rotting food and things like that. I think it'll be very difficult for a cadaver dog to operate successfully in an environment like that.
Well, former detective and criminologist at Bond University, Professor Terry Goldsworthy, thank you so much for your insight on that. It's very interesting.
No worries, anytime.
On 4BC Breakfast.